Hey everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here today with our R. Kelly update. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know that I am off of vacation. I went to Jamaica last week. Had a great time. Now I need a vacation from the vacation because I am so tired and I am still dragging. But I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm actually going to do another video where I talk about my trip and show you guys some of the videos and pictures that I took. But before we jump into this video, I do want to give a shout out to all of the people, for your positive comments. For those of you that touch base with me offline, just to say hi, to ask me where I'm at, what am I up to, and to share links to different stories that you don't know if I've seen about the case or not. So you guys, you are appreciated. And I am doing this video earlier in the day because one of my subscribers, and thank you to all the new subscribers out there, but one of my subscribers is in the UK, and he says that when I post the videos late at night, he doesn't get to participate in the live chat that's going on. And so I'm posting this video earlier in the day to give him the opportunity, if he gets the notification, to be able to participate in the live chat and talk with you guys. So when I post these videos, they are not live videos, like I'm not actually talking live at that moment. I've pre-recorded the video, but it does give you all the opportunity to chat live as the video is playing. And then sometimes I'm able to jump in and chat with you guys, answer your questions. And I think that's a lot of fun as well. And so if you're out there in the UK or somewhere else in the country, and I normally post these videos, which is in the middle of the night or early in the morning for you, hopefully you will be able to catch this one. So here are the updates in no particular order. I tried to do chronologically, but that wasn't really working out too well. So I'm just going to go ahead and read my notes as I posted them in the document. So R. Kelly had a hearing yesterday, which he did not attend the hearing. And my understanding is that he's actually en route to New York, where he has an arraignment on the charges that were brought against him in the Eastern District of New York. And so I don't know if he's left already or if he was being processed to leave, if he's already there. Of course, they keep those things secret so that the public doesn't know, you can't interfere or what have you. But I do believe that he has already left for Brooklyn. So the hearing yesterday was a status hearing where the prosecution for the Northern District of Illinois is basically asking the judge to put a gag order on the defense, on Steve Greenberg and the rest of R. Kelly's defense team, to keep them from talking about evidence, to keep them from talking about the witnesses. They're trying to claim that his defense team is trying to intimidate the witnesses, trying to sway public opinion, as if that's not what they've been doing all along. And so Steve Greenberg was basically arguing that we've had a whole docuseries, a 6-part docuseries full of lies, full of reality stuff that's made for reality TV, that's been out there, that these alleged victims have been on tour, basically doing talks and accepting awards and celebrating and posting videos where they're actually talking about the case. So why is the prosecution trying to stop the defense from putting R. Kelly's side out there? And so it was just really crazy that they're trying to say, like, I think the public opinion has already been swayed, okay? And so what they were asking was for the defense to be quiet. And I guess they figure if the defense is quiet, then R. Kelly supporters can't get information about the case. And then that stifles us and shut us up so that we don't talk about it. But I don't think it works that way. But anyway, this is what happened. So the outcome was a federal judge in Chicago on Wednesday barred attorneys from divulging new evidence in R. Kelly's child pornography case, saying he wants to ensure the celebrity case is tried in court and not in the media. The R&B singer's attorneys objected to Judge Harry Linen-Weber's protective order, complaining it would unfairly muzzle them as Kelly's accusers appeared on TV shows and documentaries characterizing the evidence. And then Steve Berg is quoted as saying, they are all giving their version of the facts. We should be able to respond. Actually, that was the federal attorney, Michael Leonard, not Greenberg, who said this. They are putting evidence in the public domain and tainting the jury pool. So prosecutor Angel Cruel, and I believe that Angel Cruel is actually a woman, and she's 43 years old. Can't find any pictures of her or anything, but I believe that the information I found on this person is her. So prosecutor Angel Cruel disputed the portrayal of witnesses speaking widely in public, saying only one of 5 accusers spoke in the Lifetime documentary Surviving R. Kelly that earlier this year helped renew interest in allegations leveled at Kelly for decades. And I also believe that this woman is the one who watched the docuseries and brought this case up. And so we really can't trust her because it's obvious that she's probably working with Dream Hampton and Lifetime and everybody else because she's trying to make a name for herself. And so more generally, she said that the vast majority of our evidence has never seen the light of day and should be held from public scrutiny until trial. So Judge Linen-Weber's order isn't a gag order on all public comments by lawyers. For now, they simply can't speak about evidence that has not been released to the public yet. And he told defense lawyers Wednesday that they can always come back to court and ask for permission to speak publicly on new evidence if Kelly's accusers or the spokesperson for them comments on them first. And so the judge said he'd like to aim for a April 2020 trial and says that he'd fix a date during the next status hearing, which is set for September 4th. So they are trying to rush this to trial. So what do you guys think about them telling them that they can't speak? When all this talking has been going on, everybody has an opinion, everybody has something to say. Come on now. And then who are these? So they claim that only one witness talked on the Surviving R. Kelly docuseries, or one person involved with the case. So we know that that's probably Geronda Pace. But that doesn't mean that the other people like Faith Rogers, Lanita Carter, if she's a part of this, Heather Williams, they've been talking. So just because they weren't on the docuseries talking doesn't mean that they weren't talking about the case publicly. And speaking of Faith Rogers, yes, like I don't understand her at all. She came out with a video. I don't know if it was on Instagram or whatever, but you remember, guys, I posted that video of Azrael and where she was trying on different clothes for when they were going to go out with Joycelyn to celebrate Joycelyn's birthday back on, I believe it was July 22nd. And basically, Faith Rogers came out with a new video where she's basically dancing and turning and posing exactly as Azrael was doing in her video. And I'm just like, these women got some psychological issues going on. Now her hair is blonde and, just, it's like, how do you expect people to take you seriously when you out here acting like, I don't know, people say they're acting like 20-year-olds, okay? I know my daughter's 26 and she be doing some stuff that be getting on my nerves, but I'm just thinking that if you are involved in this case, you need to tone it down because, and I guess we're in a new era because it used to be a time where, regardless of what your persona was, outside of court, when you went to court, you toned down your demeanor because you wanted the jury to take you seriously. But these women don't seem to care how the jury takes them. They seem to think that this is a slam dunk case. They can say what they want, do what they want, live their best life, and people aren't going to judge them. So we'll see, if it matters or if it doesn't matter. Then another story came out where it says federal prosecutors tell a judge in Chicago they may supersede the indictment against R. Kelly, adding additional charges and additional defendants. and asked that all discovery, particularly the evidence of obstruction of justice, be kept private. Assistant U.S. Attorney Angel Cruz says putting evidence in the public domain would have a chilling effect on witnesses who are cooperating against R. Kelly. They don't want any names out there. They don't want fans of Mr. Kelly hounding them. The U.S. Marshal in Chicago is now telling the judge that transporting R. Kelly to New York City for arraignment there may be difficult. Asked whether he could appear via video link. Kelly has been in isolation since his July 11th arrest and has refused a cellmate or move to general population. And the judge in the case, Lennon Weber, meanwhile says that he's only recently discovered that R. Kelly is a celebrity and says that my wife thinks it's slightly humorous that I didn't know who Kelly was. The judge quipped, and we found out that the judge is 82 years old. So we don't even know if he's going to still be alive by April 2020. But anyway, this was an older story from earlier last week where they're now trying to, and I believe that this is just a publicity stunt by the prosecution to get the judge to issue that gag order, which I just talked about, by saying that, oh, we may add more charges, we may bring more witnesses, and so we don't want people to be intimidated. But as what happened yesterday, the judge basically said that they can talk about what they want to talk about if it's already in the public sphere. But if there's any new information that comes out or that has come out that hasn't been shared with the public, then they can't talk about it. But if the alleged victims or witnesses talk about those things, then R. Kelly's defense team can come back and request permission to talk about those things. And then next up, there was a little short story about, Faith Rogers. One of the charges against R. Kelly is that he transmitted a sexually transmitted disease to Faith Rogers, which is her claim that he gave her herpes. And so the attorneys came out and spoke, and they said that R. Kelly may be a lot of bad things, but he says being positive for an STD is not one of them. The singer's attorney filed a long letter to the judge in his ongoing criminal federal case, asking to be released from custody or at least granted bail. Kelly's team claims he's not a flight risk or a danger to the community and takes major umbrage with the allegations that one of his alleged victims that he gave her an STD. And then it says currently there is zero evidence that Robert has herpes, knew he had herpes, or knew he could have herpes, and recklessly conducted himself. His team doubles down that zero evidence exists. It says the allegation of herpes was brought to light by Faith Rogers, who currently has 2 lawsuits against the singer and actively cooperated with federal officials during the investigation of Kelly. However, the singer's legal team claims the only evidence prosecutors have is a disgruntled groupie who alleges she has herpes and got it from Robert. They also argued that Rogers was never asked about any other sexual partners or possibilities of any other sexual partners and has allegedly not provided one scintilla of evidence to support her claim. So she's just going around saying that R. Kelly gave her herpes, but she ain't provided no documentation, no court records, no data he gave her the herpes or anything. So child. It says that the R&B singer's team also suggests that the government may have illegally obtained Kelly's medical records in an effort to validate the herpes claims. Ooh. So y'all, wait a minute now. Ain't that go against the HIPAA laws? Like they just go into your medical records and start snooping around to see what's going on. So the letter states the government alludes to having Robert's medical records that they believe may nor may not demonstrate that he too may have herpes, but they do not disclose if they properly and or legally procured same. If they have factually and scientifically established it's the same strain of herpes or who had it first. And that's what everybody's been talking about with this whole herpes claim, is that so many people have herpes. Like according to the CDC, 776 thousand people, that's like almost 1 million people every year, is diagnosed with herpes. Now that's people that are diagnosed with herpes. What about the ones that ain't never been to the doctor, that have never had an outbreak or anything like that? So it's like one, don't quote me on this, but it's like 1 in 8 Americans between the age of 19 and 49 has herpes. So how this girl, and then oh my God, I can't remember who put this out, but they said that there are like 10 guys who have admitted that they have had sex with Faith Rogers. And then I think a couple of them may have had herpes or something like that. And this came out like during when she first came out back in February, trying to sue him. And also remember that she tried to press charges against him in both Texas and in New York. And both police departments, didn't move forward with her case because they said that there was no evidence that he had forcibly had sex with her or that he had given her herpes. So they declined to charge, and that's why she's doing these lawsuits. And so my thing is, you were 19 years old. You had already had numerous sex partners, like at least 10 sex partners. How are you going to say that it was R. Kelly that gave you herpes? And who goes around claiming that they have herpes? Like, these people are too much for me. And so it goes on and says that Kelly's team is adamant that the unscientific allegations by a disgruntled adult groupie completely and consensually had a sexual relationship with him. So they asked many questions regarding the allegations of herpes, like they want to know, where is the proof that she had an STD? Where is the legally admissible proof that Robert had an STD? Where is the scientific proof that the two STDs, if they exist at all, are of the same strain? Where is the documentary evidence to show who possibly had the STD first, if at all, and who gave what to whom? Exactly, like she could have had the herpes first and gave it to him when they had sex. But more importantly, Robert Kelly, why are you out here having unprotected sex with these women? Like, you need to be protecting yourself just like they need to be protecting themselves, because not only can you contract a sexually transmitted disease, but you could also get them pregnant. And I think, was it the Lizette Martinez or whatever her name is, that's claiming that he forced her to have an abortion. And this is the thing about these women and their claims. People be running their mouth. And I know about the HIPAA laws and all of that, but people still run their mouths. And so if he was going around forcing all these women to have abortions or whatever, somebody at these doctors' offices done got fired and moved on somewhere else and would be willing to sell that information to the tabloids if they would keep their name out of it. So I'm not believing about the STDs and that he's spreading this around, and I'm not believing that he's forcing all these women to have abortions. And I just want to believe that he's smart enough to put a condom on when he's sleeping with all these random women, who some of them have come forward and said that they slept with men in his camp. Because, Geronda Pace says she slept with Bubba. And then I think Dominique had a relationship with somebody else in his camp. And it might have been one other person that said that they slept with one of his friends or something, but just too much nastiness going around for me. Kelly's team claims the prosecution is resting its case on a, quote, he said, she said notion, and that the completely unsupported allegations are not substantial enough to hold him in custody without bail. Kelly has a hearing on Wednesday, which we already talked about. And it says that he's currently being transported by U.S. Marshals to New York to face his other federal charges. And then it says that the judge has not responded to this letter that was sent to him, but will most likely address it during his arraignment on Friday. But then there was another story that came out where in this letter, I guess, they talk about the fact that he's written and performed. He's written music for Michael Jackson, and he's written music for Lady Gaga and actually performed with Lady Gaga. And so it says, according to court documents obtained, Kelly is pleading for the judge to see things his way and trying to argue he is not a risk to the community. The singer's lawyer, Doug Anton, and remember, Doug is the entertainment lawyer, is making a plea for Kelly to be released on bond in his multiple federal criminal charges. He's also trying to call into question how certain evidence was collected by investigators. In the documents, Kelly's lawyer made sure to mention, despite Robert being a world-famous recording artist for the last 30 years, touring in every country on the planet, which I don't think is true, working with every major stardom superstar from Michael Jackson to Lady Gaga and selling millions of records, the government feels comfortable to describe what it has listed as only 5 Jane Does, not all of which are alleged to be minors, out of a public career of 30 years. That's a good point. And reasonably and legally fitting the description of a pattern of, with intended purposes to, quote, recruit women and girls to engage in illegal sexual activity. And it says that we offer this description of intent and purpose as proffered by the government is an absurdity. And so this makes a lot of sense right here where they're talking about there's only 5 people in 30 years. And you guys think about this. They've had this documentary. Kim Fox did her clarion call for victims. Now the FBI has this 1-800 number out, now that they filed these charges, that if there are more people, please come forward. And we still seem to have the same people that were either from the documentary or the couple of people that showed up after the documentary. And so none of this really makes sense to me, that if he was this horrible person, that it would seem like women would be coming out of the woodwork. And then remember, Jim Derogatis claims that he has documentations on 44 women dating back to like 1991 or something like that, who claim that they've been assaulted by R. Kelly, but yet none of those women have come forward or responded that we know of. And so it just seems odd that all this is going on, all this hoopla, got this man named, constantly in the news, and we still have the same people that are talking. Like no new people have come forward. So something to keep an eye on. So the article goes on to say Kelly worked with Jackson on the song You Are Not Alone, and with Gaga on the track Do What You Want. She would later apologize for working with the singer. I remember she pulled her song, all under the pressure of Me Too, not because she actually wanted to. So Kelly's team then starts calling the alleged victims groupies and claims they sought out his attention. He claims that they, quote, even fought each other for it, voluntarily contacted him, came to his shows, pined to be with him, and how Robert would spend his time and even became friends with and care about these groupies and fans who were dying to be with him. And so it says, mind you, evidence would show that Robert Kelly tours and shows would accommodate both male and female fans with access to the singer, picture taking, meet and greet, fan events, backstage passes, and the like. Okay, so he also compares his interactions with female fans to other musicians that work with foundations like Make-A-Wish and other charitable organizations. And it says that, they pay for travel or accommodations for his fans when they could not themselves afford to attend a performance. And that's kind of like what Make-A-Wish does. Like they will get people to donate this money, or, to have the celebrities come to the fans and see the fans in the hospital and that type of thing. I'm not so sure about if that was a good comparison for them to make. I understood where they were going, but what they should have used as evidence in this case, and I think I talked about this in another video, if you guys remember 50 Cent, Trey Songz, I think about a month ago, had this celebrity weekend in Atlanta, and so he booked like this hotel or something where he had all his celebrity friends staying at this hotel. They may have booked all the rooms on one floor. They had a floor to themselves or something. But anyway, 50 Cent, had his camera out and he was taking video, like letting us know how these groupies carry on. And in one of the videos, he goes into this hotel room and it was like 10 or so women in this hotel room. They were all dressed, ready to go to this party that was going on that night. And so he was basically showing like, they're so desperate to be with celebrities that they all all stand in this one hotel room, sharing the bathroom. They all dressed, ready to go. And, he goes around the room, kiss each one of them on the cheek. He talk with them, joke with them about what they have on and everything. And then in another video, he like wakes up in the morning and one of these girls have come into his room and he was like, oh, hell no, let me escort you back where you came from. And then he, pushes her down the hallway, or not push her, but kind of like guides her down the hallway back to the room she was in. And so when he opens the door, there was like 5 guys in this room. And he was like, I'm returning your thought to you. And I'm like, that's the kind of stuff they need to include in the evidence to show that this is how these women carry on. This is how they act. And then I already talked about the fact that they claim more charges could be coming and they might have more defendants. And I guess when they say more defendants, they're actually talking about they may, they may bring more charges against R. Kelly, and then they may be adding more defendants, like trying to scare his team into thinking that they may get charges and that more charges are pending against people in their entourage. And then speaking of their entourage, like where everybody at? Okay, it's like they disperse. Will, he's still talking and everything and showing support for R. Kelly. What I don't understand about Will is Will going down to the jailhouse trying to see R. Kelly. And I'm like, Will, come on now. There are procedures to getting on the visitors list, and I believe those procedures include, and I can't speak for Chicago because I've never been to Chicago, but I know elsewhere, most prisons now have it online where you go online and you complete the application. And not only do you have to be approved by the prison to come in and see the inmate, but the inmate also has to approve you. And I'm sure R. Kelly, I have no doubt R. Kelly would approve Will to come in and see him. But I don't think going down to a federal facility or a state prison trying to get in is going to do the trick. It doesn't work that way. You have to apply. It usually takes several weeks to get a response back. So anybody that wants to see R. Kelly, don't go down to the jail. Go online, read the procedures for that particular facility, follow those procedures, and then wait patiently for them to give you the approval that you can come. And then also, prisons have certain visiting days. Like I know state prisons, usually you can only visit like on Saturdays. I know here in Florida, I think Saturdays is the only day that they have visitation. And then you had to schedule your visitations and get the approval that you've been added to the visitation list. Everybody has different rules going on. And then also, I told y'all in my last video I was going to post the address for how y'all can write to R. Kelly, and I never did do it. I totally forgot, but I'm going to do it in this video. And people were saying that you can't send greeting cards, that it only can be letters, like paper letters in envelopes. I think this is a Chicago thing because, like I said, my kid's dad is in federal prison and he can receive cards, greeting cards. And it may be different because he's actually, a convicted inmate who lives at this facility. And maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But I did read somewhere, ladies, don't kiss the cards with your lipstick. Don't decorate, well, not the cards, the letters. Don't kiss the envelopes. Don't kiss the letter. Don't decorate the letters like with fancy markers and glitter and all that kind of stuff. Blank piece of paper, write your message on that paper, put it in that envelope. Don't put no stickers, no nothing. Just write the letter, Put it in the envelope, address it to him, put your return address on there, and send it off. We already know that he's being inundated with letters. Not sure, well, the jail is being inundated with letters. We don't know if R. Kelly is actually receiving the letters yet. And also remember that they do open your letters. They go through the letters and read them. They scan the letters, keep copies on file of the letters. So don't be putting no crazy stuff in the letter. Just say, hi, Robert. We're praying for you. We're wishing you well. We're keeping positive thoughts that you are going to overcome this situation, love, whatever, whoever, and then send that off to him because we don't want nobody getting in trouble. Okay, guys, and here's a little bit more information where I talked about earlier where Chicago didn't want R. Kelly to go to New York. And I believe the reason they don't want him to go to New York is because they're afraid that New York is going to hold him and not want to bring him back, but they have to send him back because he has his next hearing is September 4th. But then I guess they could try and say, well, he can do a video conference for the next hearing. So it's going to be interesting to see if once he gets to New York, if there's going to be an interest or a motion or something filed saying that he needs to stay in New York, or like maybe they're going to try, and the judge has said that the Chicago case is going to be tried in April of 2020. So New York may try to set their date before April 2020 and say that R. Kelly needs to stay in New York. Like, we don't know what type of games that they're going to play or what type of maneuvers they're going to try and put in place. But here's a little bit more information on that. And so the U.S. Marshal, so Chicago's acting U.S. Marshal, his name is Jason Wojdylo. It's spelled Wojdylo. He asked to speak at the hearing, and this was at the Chicago hearing. And he says that he had concerns about transporting R. Kelly for an August 2nd arraignment in the New York case, and we know that R. Kelly's already on his way there. And so after the U.S. Marshal asked if Kelly could enter a plea in the New York case by video from Chicago, and Judge Lennon Weber said that Kelly had a right to stand in person before the New York federal judge. And Kelly's attorneys indicated their client wanted to go to New York despite the difficulties of transporting him between Chicago and New York. And then the U.S. Marshal went on to say that R. Kelly had declined an opportunity to have a cellmate or move out of an isolated holding area at the downtown Chicago federal jail where he's being kept as a safety precaution because of his celebrity status, and he didn't explain why Kelly didn't want to be moved to the area where he could interact with other inmates. And if you guys remember, all the tabloids were saying that he was scared to go, into general population. He thought something was going to happen to him and all this other garbage. But I'm with R. Kelly, damn it. I ain't going to the general population. If I have my choice, like if I was to go to jail or go to prison and I had a choice to be with the general population or to be in a private cell, I'm taking the private cell, because all I need to entertain me is some books, some music, and if I can get a computer, then I can write. Okay, that's all I need in life. Okay, so no, I wouldn't want to be in the general population either. And then speaking of, there was some tweets or something going around, or it may have been in a press conference that, actually I think it was a tweet that, R. Kelly's attorney, Steve Greenberg, put out, where he was saying that, now remember in the past, he said that R. Kelly was still working on new music and that he had all these songs that were written that he wanted to produce, and he wanted to put an album out, and he wanted to get a computer to him so that he could finish, up on his album. Well, then it came out that supposedly Steve Greenberg said that he was 5 days away from releasing his album. And this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about in my last video, and I know some of y'all got upset about it, but remember, this is a view from Tracy's point, and I just take the information and give my point of view on it. And so this was another example of Steve Greenberg. I don't know if he's like pandering to R. Kelly's supporters and trying to tell them what they want to hear or what he's doing, but you can't go from he needs his computer because he wants to finish this music to saying that he was 5 days away. Oh, he was on a panel, that's what it was. So he was on a panel, and allegedly he made these comments because I wasn't able to find any video footage to confirm what was actually said on the panel. But anyway, allegedly he said R. Kelly was 5 days away from releasing his album, which I don't believe to be true, because you can't still be working on the album and planning to release it in 5 days. And under the circumstances that he's going through, why would he release an album in 5 days that he hasn't done any type of promotion for? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of like didn't make sense to me. But moving on, so the next story, you probably heard already that Lifetime is planning another docu-series, y'all. So in January, they're supposed to be coming out with a 4-part series where they're going to interview new survivors and experts on the case, aka Angel Cruel. We know that Angel is jockeying for a position to be in this Lifetime docu-series, but let's talk facts about that docu-series and viewership. So in this article, they're saying that an estimated 12.8 million people watched that docu-series. Keep in mind the docu-series was 6 parts. So if a 6-part series only garnered 12.8 million viewers, then that means that technically there was only 2 to 3 million people watching that. Because remember, everybody watched, well, most people watched each episode. So that meant that the same people were watching. And so divide the 6 episodes into 12.8 million viewers and you come up with a flop, okay? 2 to 3 million viewers per episode, that's nothing, Lifetime. So why are y'all investing in more of this garbage? And then I told you guys that follow-up that they did, the Surviving R. Kelly Impact series, only garnered about 435,000 viewers. That's like the same number of people that's watching that's the same number of people that's watching Growing Up Hip Hop each week, okay? Like, people are not interested, Lifetime. They're not interested. And so they're doing this 4-part series. It's going to be called The Aftermath. And I don't know. I don't even know why they're doing it. But anyway, they are. So if y'all want to watch. But I'm thinking people are kind of tuning out. They're really not interested. I think a lot of people are seeing through the BS. A lot of people are bothered whether they think R. Kelly is guilty or not. They're bothered by the way that he is being treated. They're bothered by the manipulation of the justice system to be a part of this reality show that's going on. People are bothered by the fact that these alleged survivors and alleged victims are going around collecting awards. And remember, I told you in the last video, they've also been nominated for an Emmy Award. It's just so much going on, and I just really hope that the defense team, the Michael Leonard guy who's over the federal cases, I really hope that he's able to subpoena some of these alleged victims, because you guys know Lisa Van Allen, well, she's been granted immunity, so we know that she's going to testify. But like Ashanti McGee and the Javante Cunningham, like those people that appeared on that Surviving R. Kelly series are under no obligation to testify at his case, and many of them probably won't testify because they don't want to be charged with perjury, because they got to tell the same story that they told on that docu-series once they get on their stand, and it's kind of hard to remember your lies. So I don't know who all is going to be on this follow-up series, because on the Aftermath, they use a lot of footage. Like, I don't even think they brought all those people back to the not the Aftermath, the Impact show that they did a couple of months ago. They didn't even bring those girls back on that show. They used footage that they had already captured from the Surviving R. Kelly filming and interjected that into the Impact show. So it's just crazy to me. It really is crazy to me that they are doing all of this. And then speaking of reality shows and Growing Up Hip Hop, like I told you before, the ratings have been lower and lower each week, but I think the ratings are going to spike tonight's episode, because evidently Bow Wow makes a comment, or they may just be manipulating people with the preview, but in the preview it looks like Bow Wow is accusing Drea of getting on Surviving R. Kelly, and that the other women were actually lying, and he asks, how much did they pay y'all to lie or something like that. He says, don't quote me on that. And then him and Drea are at the same place, and then Drea tries to speak to him and he walks past her like she's not there. And like I said, they may have just pasted all this together to make people want to watch the show. But if y'all watch Growing Up Hip Hop, y'all let me know, okay? Y'all come back. Somebody email me, okay, and let me know what really happened on the show so I can talk about it in the next video because I'm not watching it. Let's see what else we have. I think I'm about done. And then it was announced that Azrael and Joycelyn, they will be traveling to Brooklyn to attend the hearing. It says, as they make their way to New York City to support the man they share, it looks like the two women who refer to themselves as R. Kelly's girlfriends are also using their fame to follow in the singer's footsteps and have chosen to pursue careers in the entertainment industry. And I'm actually going to talk about this in a separate video because before I left for Jamaica, I actually did a video on Azrael and how she was supposed to have been starting this YouTube channel. And the first video was supposed to come out yesterday, but then she deleted the promo for that video. And so we don't know what happened, but then there's a story about an email going out. People aren't sure if they sent the email out, if it's a hoax or what's going on. But anyway, I'm going to do a separate video where I'll talk more about Azrael and Joycelyn. And then some nasty comments that Wendy Williams made on her show yesterday about the girls. And then there was a story about the singer Joe that for some reason resurfaced. So if you're seeing these stories about Joe making a comment that R. Kelly was jealous of him and tried to block his career several years ago, that interview was actually done like in 2014. It was with Vlad. Vlad TV, and for some reason Vlad, I guess even 5 years ago, was bringing people onto his show and asking them about R. Kelly. I don't know what his asphyxiation is with R. Kelly, but I wish all celebrities before agreeing to go on Vlad's show would say we are not answering any questions about R. Kelly. But what I will say about Joe and about R. Kelly is this. I've only seen Joe in concert one time. I've seen R. Kelly in concert numerous times. The last being Mother's Day weekend of 2016. So the one time that I saw Joe in concert, he was the opening act for the singer Kim. And you guys, I love me some Kim, okay? But Kim has never, as talented as he is, has never reached the same level as R. Kelly. Just as Joe has never reached the same level as R. Kelly. So for Joe to be opening for Kim, I mean, that says a lot about where Joe's career went. But he claimed that R. Kelly was jealous of him or whatever. I don't know how true that is. I mean, some people say that R. Kelly in the business world is very cutthroat and shrewd, and he's not the same R. Kelly that he is to his fans. I don't know because I'm not in the music industry to know the truth. And then plus the comments that Joe made were basically hearsay. He never had a negative interaction with R. Kelly. He was repeating what somebody else said to him that R. Kelly had said, which I think was unprofessional and tacky. But just to do the comparison, Joe, you opened for Kim, okay? You were at the Stars Center in Tampa, Florida, which I believe holds less than 3,000 people at full capacity, and might only be like 2,000 people. But small arena, not even arena, it's a theater where they do plays. Okay, so small, intimate setting. R. Kelly, on the other hand, 2 years later, performed at the Omni Arena, which is where the Tampa Bay Lightning play, and I think they hold about 20,000 people. The concert wasn't sold out, but it was damn near sold out, okay? And so I'm going to leave you with this video from that concert where R. Kelly is thanking his supporters. So guys, that's it for me. Leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.